All right, now we're going to talk about different types of class methods, and two really important ones are called getters and setters. Technically, they're called accessors and mutators, but let's be real, no one calls them that unless you want to sound like some kind of fancy computer science royalty. But for most of us, we just call them getters and setters. So our class and object variables are private or protected. How do we access and edit their contents? Wasn't the whole idea of making them protected or private so that we couldn't do that? Well, yes, we wanted to make them so we couldn't edit them directly, but we want to still be able to interact with those variables from our objects. So we have methods, a method called a getter, and it's public. The return type is the type of variable that you're getting, and it doesn't take any parameters, and basically it just returns whatever class variable you want it to, or whatever the variable of the object that you're calling it from. You're going to see we'll call them from objects in just a second. So it just returns that whatever values in the variable. Setters are kind of the opposite. You can set that variable to a certain value. So there's no return type, it's just a void because it's not returning anything, you're just editing it. And the parameters taken are the type of variable you're setting. So we'll see that here. So the setter for the species is public void. I'm going to call the method set species so we know what we're talking about. And it's going to pass in a string that we're calling new species. And that string is just going to be whatever you want the species of whatever object you're editing. So again, I'm going to use the this keyword. Again, it's not completely necessary, but I like to be consistent. So this species, or in other words, the species of the current object, is being set to the new species that's being passed into this method. And since these methods are within the class, we are able to edit that information, which is why we need a setter. So the getter, similarly, public stream get species, it's just going to return this dot species, the species of this object. Pretty straightforward. And then I've done the same thing for the lifespan. There's a setter and a getter for the lifespan. The only difference here is that the parameters passed in for the setter is an integer because the lifespan variable is an integer, and the getter has a return type of int instead of string. But fundamentally, they're doing the same thing.